Welcome to today's episode in our series on the parts of self. Today we're talking about kid parts and getting to know the most authentic parts of self. We talked about understanding what the kid part looks like. We've talked about burdened kid parts versus unburdened kid parts. We gave some examples. What else, Brittney?
We talked about the good things and not so good things about kid parts and how they can really kind of hold us back from living our lives authentically.
Yeah, yeah. It was interesting. And we brought up a certain movie star that we talked about. Maybe a little bit too much, but that's okay.
Yeah. I
Never
think
too
you'll
much,
enjoy it.
really.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
not with him. Mm-mm.
Nuh-uh. So this way into your kid part.
So our kid parts of self, they are the ones that really like to have fun and joke and play. And when we're in our kid parts, we're in our element. So I'm just curious, Amy, what do you like to do for fun?
I like to do anything that makes me laugh. I like to go to comedy clubs. I like to watch funny TV shows and movies.
Ah,
I like to just go do silly stuff, like, play games or, usually hanging out with a bunch of people. But if I'm all by myself, I'm fine just watching TV too.
love
But,
it.
things like that or watching my dog play. That's
Ah,
that's fun. Laugh at her all the time.
which one?
Vivian,
Ah,
we have a little ball that's actually a cat toy. I'll show it to you. You might like it for your cats. It's a
sure.
little ball that lights up and it
Uh-huh.
spins around and it's
Uh-huh.
got a little tail hanging off of it. So it looks like something they
Oh,
would chase.
yeah.
And since Vivian is a Yorkie and she's, her, whatever, she's bred for being a ratter,
Uh-huh.
she loves to chase little animals like chipmunks and bunnies and stuff like that in the yard. So she loves
Mm-hmm.
this thing and she goes nuts so over it. And she picks it up and shakes it like she's trying to
Ah,
kill it and it's hilarious.
that's
So you
adorable.
you just charge it and then it has lights and it makes a little whirring sound and it runs all over back and forth and it's endless joy watching her do it, but I can't let her do it for too long because she won't stop and then she
Oh.
stops and goes so I have to control that. But
That is too
but
cute.
it's a really cute toy. You'd like it for your cats, I think, if they like to play with
Oh.
things like that.
Oh yeah, that would be too
Yeah.
much fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So something like this, I absolutely love too. Like I know we could probably geek out about this all day long, and this is both of our kid parts here,
Yeah.
and it's good. It feels great. We like to laugh. It's fun to talk about this. We're both more animated.
Right.
Totally our kid
Right.
parts here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
other things I really like to do, watch cartoons.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care how old I get, I will always watch cartoons, especially South
Hmm.
Park. I can't stop
Oh,
talking about it. It came out when I was a kid and I've loved it ever since. So I really just like to have fun as well, get together with friends or just hang out and just play video games out in nature. We have sorts of wildlife around our house. One day there was a wild turkey and a Bambi, and they were playing together. And my
oh
husband and
my
I just
God.
watched. It was adorable. We
I've
just,
never seen those two interact. We have both of those in our yard too.
oh wow, really? That's crazy.
Yeah. I actually, my next door neighbor had a mama deer and baby deer
Hmm.
playing in a puddle in her backyard, and she took a video of it. They were playing together in this puddle, and it was the cutest
Oh,
thing. And she sent it to me, and I was just like, I almost cried. It was so sweet.
that's
So yeah,
amazing.
that's definitely. I'll just send you that video. Maybe I can post it
Oh,
on our website or something too.
yeah, that'd be fantastic. I would love to
Yeah,
watch that.
yeah, it's so
Man,
cute.
yeah. So our kid parts are one of the best parts of ourselves, I tend to think, because it really makes up the core of who we are. Our kid parts are the most authentic parts of us. It's our likes, our wants, our dreams, our desires that all come from our kid parts, really. Our adult parts, like logical, responsible, all of those other parts, they have wants and dreams and desires too, but it's our kid parts that really fuel them. So, when you were actually a kid, did you have big dreams of like what you were going to be and where you're going to go and what you were going to do when you grew up?
Oh, sure. I thought I was going to be a movie star.
Ah,
And I also, we went out to eat a lot. My
hmm.
family, my parents and I went out to eat a lot. And so to me, our server, which was almost
Hmm.
always a woman, was kind of a movie star to me. They were like a famous person to me. And so I always aspired to either be a waitress or a movie star, which, as it turns out, most people who are one are the other as well. So
Yeah.
I never did either of those things.
That's okay.
But when I was little, that's what I wanted. I thought, oh, they're like, because they come to the table and they talk to you about stuff and da da da. And I guess a teacher
Hmm.
is kind of like that, and I was a
Oh,
teacher a little bit, so I guess it's kind of the same thing. But I never
kind of.
saw my teachers as like royalty, like I did servers in restaurants. But
So funny.
yeah,
I love that.
how
Wow.
about you?
Oh, good question. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an archaeologist because I loved ancient Egypt.
Oh, wow! I didn't even know what ancient Egypt was when I was a kid. That's great.
Yeah. As I grew up, I realized that archaeology is probably more paperwork and grunt work than exciting Indiana Jones stuff.
Right. Probably. See, I would have liked the paperwork part.
Ah,
We could have been a good team together.
ooh, I love that. I think we're a good team as it is already.
I think so too,
That's
for sure.
fantastic. Yeah. So even though we didn't set out to do these big dreams we had when we were kids, it's still probably there in the back of our minds, like, oh yeah, that's still a nice thought.
Hmm.
Like, oh,
Yeah,
that might
sure.
be something to do someday, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah. So our kid parts, even though we're both grown-ass adults, are alive and well. And that's what we want. We want our kid parts to be alive and well and a robust part of who we are. If we hold our kid parts back, whether we're embarrassed or kid parts are really burdened or whatever, which we'll get into more of, it doesn't really lend itself for us to be who we really are. So our burden kid parts tend to be more shy and hesitant, like, I don't know if I should say anything here. I'm just going to sit back and watch. And when this happens, we are not really being ourselves. Have you had any moments like that?
Yeah, I was actually a very shy kid. I grew up with people in the theater, and that's
Yeah.
probably why I wanted to be a movie star. Um, and well, both of my parents idolized movie stars too, so of course I wanted, to be something like that. But
Oh.
I was too shy to do any of it. I was too
Mm.
shy to, I loved singing and dancing, but not in front of anybody. I did it in front of my mirror at home all day and could do it in front of my parents and some of my other family members. But for the most part, I didn't want anybody watching me. I wanted to do it, but I didn't want anyone watching me. So
Hmm.
it was, and I think it was a fear of being corrected, especially because my
Mm.
mom was a dance teacher. If I'm dancing and I
Oh.
do it wrong, she could say, you really should turn your foot out there or whatever. And I would take that as, oh my God, I screwed up
Hmm.
instead of, oh, okay, I'll do it that way.
Right.
I always internalized it as something bad, that I did something bad. And so
Mm.
I think I was very shy. I was always afraid to say the wrong thing or do the wrong
Yeah.
thing or be embarrassed by something I had done. So
Hmm.
I was very withdrawn as a little kid.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's pretty typical. I've had a lot of experiences like that too, especially with some family members that are a lot more like boisterous and loud and stuff. And I was always the one that kind of just sat back in the background, just watched people do their thing. And I didn't really get a
Hmm.
word in edgewise. And that's kind of how I grew up with everything. Of course, there's a part of me that's like, I want to be in the spotlight and stuff like that. And so I was in like plays and musicals, I was in band and choir and that kind of stuff. And there are moments where I'm like, yeah, I want to be front and center and I want to be the star of this. And most of the time I'm like, I just want to fade into the background and just be part of
Yeah.
the group.
Yeah.
And so that's two different kid parts right there.
Hmm.
One kid part that was actually the star of one of the musicals in seventh grade, which is not that big of a deal. Not quite the
Nice.
star, but anyway. Uh, but just like wanting to slink into the background, bird and kid part. So the kid parts of us that are front and center, that are boisterous, that want to be out there and put on a show for people and just be our authentic selves, those are unburdened kid parts.
Hmm.
These kid parts don't have junk from the past or like, oh, I'm going to screw up kind of thoughts holding us back. Unburdened kid parts are just free to do what they want and have fun and no fear, really.
Hmm.
If I think of anybody in pop culture who is like the embodiment of unburdened kid part, it's Paul Rudd.
I know. I love him. He's my movie star boyfriend.
Oh gosh, my whole life. Yeah,
He
totally.
is so great. He's so much fun to watch. And you feel like a kid watching him do
Yes.
that funny stuff. I know he's
Yeah.
got some dark roles and there's a movie out now that he's got. I haven't seen it yet, but that
Hmm.
he's it's kind of dark. But for the most part, anything he's in, he's just blah, 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 like literally walking around like that, and it's just joyful to watch that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he always has this spark, this twinkle in his eye. No,
Hmm.
no matter the part he's playing, you can just see that kid part in him, just dying to come out and have fun.
Yeah,
And no matter how old he gets, he's ageless. Like he does not
I know.
age.
I know. I know. You watch his older movies like Wet Hot American Summer, which was
Uh-huh.
like, I don't know, 15 years ago or something. He
Yeah,
looks exactly the same. Everybody
pretty
else has
much.
changed. He
Yeah.
looks exactly the same. I think
Yeah.
he and Rob Lowe have some sort of deal with the devil or something where they just get better looking and really don't change much at all.
I'm with you. Rob Lowe's a good example of unburdened kid part, especially I don't know if you watch Parks and Rec, but I loved
Yeah,
him in that.
yeah,
Oh, so good.
yeah, yeah. He's
And
good too.
the example you gave of Paul Rudd even doing more serious roles and whatnot, like you can still see that kid part in him.
Hmm. Yeah,
It's
there's
always
still a little
there.
twinkle. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what we want. We
Hmm.
want that. That tells us that we are healthy enough. That other parts of self, like critical protector parts, aren't running the show all the time.
Hmm.
We want our kid parts to come out and play.
Hmm.
However, if a lot of our kid parts are burdened, and these are the parts that are hanging on to junk from the past, negative cognitions like I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, no one likes me, I could go on. These burdened kid parts are just saddled with all of this junk and they're kind of stuck emotionally, mentally, physically in the past.
Hmm.
When I say stuck in the past, the way the brain works is with these different neural networks and neural pathways. If we don't get new information to neural networks that had old information, essentially, like if we don't record over the videotape, it still has that stuff from the 80s or whatever age, time frame you were as a kid
Hmm.
that stays stuck in time.
Hmm.
And that the parts of self is not just kid parts that get stuck in time, but especially kid parts, the ones that get stuck in the past, don't realize I'm older now. I can defend myself. I can actually do this without being criticized. They don't realize that things have changed. And
Hmm.
so the same patterns from when we were actually little kids or bigger kids are the same patterns even though life has changed.
Okay.
And that's what really makes it a burden.
Hmm.
It's hard to be adaptive if we're in the here and now, but we're still going off of, I don't know, 1970s information.
Hmm.
So I guess the best way I can put it is these burden kid parts don't know what's up.
Hmm.
And with burden kid parts, they can come out anytime something even remotely feels similar to how they feel. For example, if one of my burden kid parts is like, oh, I'm not good enough, if I'm having a conversation and things are fine, and then maybe you say something kind of snarky or something that I'm not expecting, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm not good enough then. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
These burden kid parts are very, very easily triggered.
Yeah.
And then the emotion that they're hanging on to from the past comes all out in this moment. It's
Hmm.
past junk, but it's here and now stuff.
Yeah. It still feels like it's right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, for example, there was a time where my husband and I were kind of in an argument, and then I was like, all of a sudden, why are you being so mean to me? And that was a kid part, bird and kid part for sure. And he's like, I'm not being mean to you. Like, well, it was this critical part. He was kind of being mean, but like, I was
Hmm.
taking it way harder than what it needed to be because, like, oh, you're being so mean.
Hmm.
If
Yeah.
I
I've done
wasn't,
that.
yeah. If I wasn't triggered there in that moment, if I didn't have a little kid part feeling like that, it would have
Hmm.
probably been fine. We probably would have had a more logical conversation, but I got more escalated because of that. He got more escalated, and both of our burden kid parts were playing on, each other's triggers.
Hmm.
And eventually we just had to
Interesting.
take a break,
Yeah.
call it a day. Let's come back later when we're both feeling calmer.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't that calm in the moment, of course.
Of course. Yeah. Well, that's when emotions are high.
Yeah.
And little kids have at least display often s- emotions bigger than you or I at our ages do. And so I
Yes.
can see how that's the little kid coming out and making you raise your intensity of the
Mm-hmm.
emotion that they're feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, it was way more intense than it needed to be because both of us had some triggers going on.
Hmm.
And as much as he wasn't going to show it in the moment, it was definitely little burden kid parts on his end too.
Hmm. Hmm.
This is when things get to be kind of explosive between people when their kid parts, both burden, are just kind of freaking out on each other. It's
Hmm.
not just kid parts, of course, critical and protector parts get involved too, but it's always at the center of it, burden kid parts.
Hmm.
So the best example I could come up with for burden kid part in pop culture essentially is Rachel Riley. So I don't know if you like to watch Big Brother or Amazing Race, mostly Big Brother. She is on a current season of Big Brother right now. I first watched her when she was on Amazing Race, and I was like, how did she win Big Brother like this? She was just crying the whole time. Like as soon
Oh,
as they met any sort of difficulty, she was just like, which is her husband that she met on Big Brother. Brendan, you need to save me. And he'd
oh,
be like, well, how can I save you? I'm supposed to be the knight in shining armor for you, but how can I save you? You're just freaking out.
yeah.
And so anytime something doesn't go her way, she's just either pissed off or she's just in tears. Can't do it. It's just too hard.
Yeah.
Burden kid part.
Okay.
Yeah. So these burdened kid parts really kind of they don't drive what our protector and critical parts do, but they really do inform what protector and critical parts do. Because anytime a bird and kid part gets to be a little too much for protector parts, like this is too much emotion, we can't handle this, shut it down.
Mm.
So we tend to avoid our bird and kid parts in a lot of different ways. And I'll just throw the main ways that we do this as fast as possible because this is going to get deep and we don't have to go this deep this time. So a lot of the time we just distract ourselves. Well, if I'm feeling out sorts, well, I'm just going to play on my phone or I'm going to go play a game. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to think about something else. I'm going to go do this. Just avoid, avoid, avoid. Either by distracting or focusing on something else, or just, I'm going to go use some substances or I'm going to go gamble. I'm going to go have some sex, whatever.
Hmm.
People use all sorts of avoidance techniques to just avoid feeling these emotions out of burden kid part.
Hmm.
One of my biggest avoidance tactics is, I'm not really an avoidant person because if I have an emotion, I'm like, I'm going right to it and figure out what's going on. But if I'm going to avoid it, I'm going to play on my phone. I'm going to play video games. I'm going to put on some South Park or Bob's Burgers or some other cartoon so I can laugh instead. Bring out
Yeah.
an unburdened kid part instead.
Right.
And that happens too. Like a lot of the time when things get to be too much, there's like some like class clown type people, jokesters,
Hmm.
like always want to have fun. Like I'm thinking of a guy off the top of my head, like, oh, it's getting serious. Let's just go have fun. Let's go drink. Let's just play some hacky sack or something. It doesn't matter. Oh, this is getting too much. Let's do something else. Ha ha ha. Let's
Yeah.
make a joke about it. Ha ha. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So that's another avoidance, distraction, deflection, whatever. And when our kid parts get to be so burdensome to the rest of our parts, then eventually our protector and critical parts just shove them to the back of the bus. And eventually, the self, which is our conscious awareness of what's going on within ourselves, doesn't even remember that that part exists anymore.
Mm.
And this is when things go really wrong when we have exiles, which is an IFS term. These are parts of self that get so dissociated that again they're not even on the bus anymore. They're like
Hmm.
on the caboose, hanging on to
Yeah. Hanging on for dear
yeah,
life while the bus is careening around. That's how I
yeah,
picture ones that are
yeah,
sent to the back. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. And so when this happens, anytime whoever has had this internal dynamic happen, anytime their burdened kid parts get triggered, they don't know it's them. They think, oh, you're making me feel this way. It's your fault. You're the problem.
Mm-hmm.
You ever had an example or not an example, an experience like that.
Yes. Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Um, I can't think of anything specific like that I could tell you, but I know I recognize that and that feeling and that reaction.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And we're sitting back here like, what the hell just happened? This
Mm-hmm.
isn't me. This is your emotion. No, I'm not emotional.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I'm not emotional. You're the one who's emotional.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their protector and critical part speaking there, but they don't even realize that it's a burdened kid part feeling all these big emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of what we do in avoidance ends up being a defense mechanism, and it can get really entrenched and it can get really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets to be a way of life for people sometimes. They don't even realize how much junk they're carrying around within themselves. They don't even realize how sad, scared little kid parts they have, how many sad, scared little kid parts they have. They just don't know. And that's what's unhealthy. When we have
Yeah.
parts of self that we don't know about, especially kid parts, which are again the most authentic parts of who we are, if we
Mm-hmm.
don't know we have these parts, if we're not aware of them, if we're trying to consciously exile them away, that is not healthy at all.
Mm-hmm.
It is impossible to get internal cohesion and balance when we are consciously or unconsciously trying to exile parts of self.
Sure.
So, with that being said, a lot of the time when people have burdened kid parts, they just don't know what to do with them. That's why they
Mm-hmm.
end up doing the avoidance dance or the exiling or whatever. They just don't know what to do. So, I'm going to just review back one of our previous episodes of the purpose of emotions. These emotions
Mm-hmm.
are there for a reason. It's a signal that say, hey, things are cool or things aren't. If we have burdened kid parts or feeling sad, scared, whatever, what's the trigger there? What's turning on the stress response for that? Well, usually it's these experiences that we have when we are little kids. Like what you were saying, your parents were performers. Maybe there were times that they wanted you to perform and you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And that could have not gone well with your parents. And then you end up feeling a certain way because your parents were acting childish and they were supposed to be the adults in the room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. My parents did want me to perform for their friends and stuff a lot.
Ugh.
And most of the time I did not want to do it because like I said, I can do it in front of a mirror all day. But as soon as
Mm-hmm.
someone's watching, I clam up, I stop. And so, being told to dance little monkey for my parents' friends was not on my list of things I wanted to do today.
Yeah.
And so, and a lot of time I felt really pressured to do that.
Hmm.
And that was a really icky feeling.
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
then the more I said, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And they're all going, come on, get up. It's
Hmm.
fine. Get up and do it. I want to see you dance. Da, da, da. Then it also feels like, oh, I can't do it now. Because then it feels like they, I only did it because they told me to. It's a whole thing. So
Hmm.
it makes it worse. It
Yeah.
doesn't make it better. And so, yeah, yeah, definitely felt that
Uh,
as a little
oh
kid.
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I felt all sorts of stuff like that too as a little kid. And our parents don't even realize what they're doing to us either.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, no, it was nothing. None of it was malicious. It was
No.
all, I love singing and dancing and everybody looking at me. Why don't you?
Uh-huh.
You know,
Yeah.
they both
Exactly.
love to be the center of attention. Not
Uh-huh.
me.
Yeah. And how can you compete with that?
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
Exactly. So that's kind of a trauma in and of itself when our parents want us, expect us to be something that we're not. And then us as little kids, and then our kid parts as we get older, kind of keep hanging on to that. Well, why wasn't I what my parents wanted?
Hmm.
A lot of trauma work that I do really does revolve around I wasn't what my parents wanted. I didn't meet up to their expectations. They didn't treat me right because this isn't what they wanted. This is what I wanted, and they thought it was wrong, and that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. And so we grew up with these like what's the phrase chip on our shoulder?
Hmm.
That's our burden kid parts. And they really do steer a lot of what we do, inform, not necessarily like we're doing this. That's what our protector and critical parts do, but our kid parts will influence that a lot by what they want and what they don't want.
Hmm.
And kid parts, as actual kids, tend to go for more of what they don't want rather than what they do want. Because if I want this, but I don't want this more, I'm going to go with what I don't want more.
Hmm.
If I want a hug from a parent and it's just a hassle on their end, well, I'm just going to avoid that hug altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, oh, I'm unlovable. Because if I want a hug and they're like, eh, then it must be my problem. I'm unlovable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and then I imagine that that kid then is afraid to ask for that hug another time.
yeah. And from other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're just kind of floating along in life, just never really trying to get that sort of social connection, the physical touch, that kind of stuff. And they hold themselves back from going for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I ask Joe Blow for a hug, well, he's just going to be like, too. When we're little kids, especially in our relationship with our parents, it sets the template for how we act in all of our relationships,
Mm-hmm.
practically, especially our romantic relationships. Because we have needs as babies, little kids, even up through teenage years, we have needs that our parents have to fill. Otherwise, we end up with chips on our shoulders, burdened kid parts, negative cognitions, whatever, whatever. And again, it's not on our parents altogether because they're not perfect. They don't know what they're doing or not doing a lot of time and yada, yada. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what happens because, again, no one's perfect. We do end up with unmet needs. And a lot of times we have unmet needs for emotional safety and validation. I grew up with both my parents being boomers, and I'm going to stereotype and generalize quite a lot, but I know a lot of the boomer generation grew up with parents who were pretty stoic, like emotions no time for. They don't exist. If
Mm-hmm.
you have emotions, well, I'm going to give you something to actually cry about.
Exactly.
And then in turn, boomers did that to their kids. Maybe not
Mm-hmm.
quite as harsh,
Mm-hmm.
but still the same spirit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
stereotyping, I'm generalizing. But when you grow up with emotionally invalidating parents, how does that end up? It doesn't end up well.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, our emotions are just signals. They say, hey, things are cool or things aren't. It's tied into our stress response. It's our body's way of saying, you need to get ready to fight, flight, or freeze. It's
Yeah.
that simple. People don't know that. So that's kind of the whole point of all of this, especially with our kid parts. We don't know what we don't know. And how are we supposed to do something we don't know?
Mm-hmm.
So when we have burdened kid parts, the first thing we want to do is just first and foremost acknowledge, well, we have emotion here, and it's likely coming from a kid part. You'll know it's coming from a kid part when it feels overwhelming, when it feels really familiar, when it feels like, oh man, this is taking me back to second grade, so on and so forth,
Mm-hmm.
especially if it's irrational, illogical, coming from a kid part for sure. So we want to acknowledge that the emotion first and foremost. Okay, I'm feeling scared because I'm being asked to perform, like give a speech at work. And I don't feel really comfortable with this because I'm bad at public speaking. And what am I going to do? And I don't know how I'm supposed to, oh, what am I going to say? And it just gets more and more intense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just acknowledge it. All right, I'm anxious. Whew, I'm anxious. Why am I anxious? Because I have to give a speech in front of my work. And gosh, that reminds me of that fifth grade speech I gave and it just bombed and the whole class was laughing at me. Okay, yeah, that's a kid part. Okay. All right, kid part, I feel you. I know you're there. You're anxious. I get it. I'm anxious too. We got this. We can do this. So let's just prepare. We'll take some deep breaths. We got this together. We got it. So, really, just acknowledge, validate, empathize.
Mm-hmm.
It takes literally as long as I said it just
Yeah.
now,
Yeah. Like
under a
under
minute.
10 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, under 10 seconds. Yeah.
Well, the validating part, I mean, yeah, the figuring out that it's where it's coming from, that if you add that in, it takes a little longer. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes it does take a while to figure it out, especially the more exiled these parts of self are. And again, an exile is a part of self that we have tried to shove so far back that it might not even exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's still there, of course, but we don't even remember it's there.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that being said, if you're having a harder time figuring out what are you actually feeling, then just kind of let yourself sit in the emotion. It's uncomfortable, but that's okay. It's not going to hurt any worse than you've already felt it before. This is just a
Mm-hmm.
rerun.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess my biggest encouragement is to allow yourself to feel it. Don't avoid it. Most of us are so good at just that knee jerk reaction avoidance somehow, but no, don't
Yeah.
avoid it. Sit with it. Give yourself 10 seconds just to sit with it. If that's too much, that's okay. Do 5 seconds. Build your way up to it. The
Mhm.
point is to, again, acknowledge and validate. We don't want to keep doing to our burden kid parts what everyone else has already done to them. Dismiss,
Mhm.
invalidate, have no time for, say you are not good enough, or, whatever. People don't actually get told by their parents, you're not good enough. Some people do. Most
Okay.
people don't.
Yeah.
It's usually the implications, reading between the lines, or, kids will just reach the most outlandish conclusions if they don't have all the correct information.
That's right. Yep.
So, again, sit with it, acknowledge, validate. You don't even have to empathize if that's too much. That's okay. Just acknowledge it as a first step. The more you acknowledge and validate these burden kid parts, the more they're going to trust you as the leader of your parts of self, the self, and the more it's going to be easily handled. I don't know if easily handled is the right word, but more easily handled than it was previously.
Hmm. I imagine it's easier to handle something just knowing what it is
Yeah.
and naming it and being like, okay, I see now what this is,
Hmm.
and that it is something that I am pulling from my past,
Hmm.
and I lived through it then. I'll
Yeah.
live through it now, but now I know.
Hmm. That's right. And so when we have burden kid parts and they unburden, either just spontaneously because we're living life and we're bringing them up to speed, we're in therapy, whatever, there's different ways that these burden kid parts can unburden. The more we help them unburden, the easier it is on us. Like each time we unburden a kid part, it's like taking a really heavy jacket off. Ah, that feels better. I can move around more. I'm a little more loosey goosey.
Mhm.
And it feels like that emotionally, relationally, that kind of stuff. Not necessarily physically, sometimes it does, but more emotionally, more relationally, more just going about through life like this feels a little smoother. And eventually when you have most kid parts unburdened, that's when you can really feel like, yeah, I got this. I
Mhm.
actually feel like a mature adult and I'm adulting and I don't feel like I'm just cosplaying this.
Yeah. Yeah. But you can still act like a kid.
Of course.
Yeah.
Like Paul Rudd. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Just think Paul Rudd.
Yeah, how could I not?
Yeah. Right. Doesn't hurt.
Yeah. So that's really the long and short of kid parts. There's more we can get into, but I'm going to save that for other episodes because that's when kid parts start mingling with responsible parts and protector parts. And I kind of previewed that already, but just I guess a preview for next time is when our kid parts and our responsible parts don't tend to get along. That's when things can go not haywire, but make life harder because
Mhm.
our responsible parts want to actually accomplish things and do things and be responsible. And our kid parts like, do that. That sounds like, that sucks. I don't want to do that. Like
Yeah.
we have all these chores to do. I don't want to do it. I want to play video games instead. We have all these, bills to pay, but I want to go play out there and spend my money and go to a concert and buy some stuff. And.
Mhm.
So it gets to be a real inner conflict with ourselves.
Mhm.
It also gets to be an external conflict with other people. And the biggest external conflict with other people usually happens in heterosexual relationships. Like the woman, and again, I'm stereotyping, I'm generalizing, tends to be more responsible, where the man tends to be more of the kid, like, I'm just going to go have fun. See you later. I'm
Mhm.
going to go golfing for the day, where, yeah, the woman has all these other things she has to do. I can't just go golfing
Especially if
because
there's kids
yeah, especially if there's
to take
kids.
care of. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And so that sort of builds up resentment because the
Mhm.
woman is being so responsible all the fucking time and wants to actually
Mhm.
have fun and relax and let her hair down. Where
Mhm.
the dude is like, oh, I'm just gonna fuck off and have fun. And oh, I'm the
Yeah.
breadwinner, so I can go do what I want.
Yeah.
uh, so that gets to be a real issue in relationships. And again, I'm generalizing, I'm stereotyping. This happens in same sex couples, this happens
Mhm.
in non binary couples, this happens in thruples. I could go on.
Mm-hmm.
It is just a mismatch in kid part versus responsible part.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a preview for one of our next
For next
episodes.
time.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, thanks, Brittany. That was great.
Yeah, you're
Now I
welcome.
get to think about Paul Rudd all day.
Oh, yes. One of the best outcomes of this episode.
Paul Rudd, if you're listening, come on our show.
Yes, please. We'd love to talk to you and see
Yeah,
that twinkle in your eye in person.
that's right. Well, thanks everybody for listening, and we hope you join us next time.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. This Way In is a conversation about mental health and everyday well-being, but it is not therapy. Listening to this podcast does not create a therapist-client relationship, and the information we share is for educational and entertainment purposes only. If you're feeling overwhelmed or struggling with your mental health, please reach out to a qualified professional in your area. Never delay, disregard, or change professional recommendations or advice because of something you've heard here. And please remember that any views expressed are our own and don't represent any licensing boards.
This Way In is co-produced by Brittney Baxter Dameron and me, Amy Lotsberg, at Collected Sounds Media. I also edit and manage the show, which is part of the Collected Sounds Independent Podcast Network.